What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello and welcome. I am coming at y'all barefaced this morning because we are doing a foundation wear test with the newest one from Dolce and Gabbana. This is the Everlast foundation, and this is one that I went back and forth as to whether or not I actually wanted to pick it up because it's a full coverage foundation and it's mattifying as well. And those are two things that I typically don't go for in a foundation. I am 39 years old. I have normal dry leaning skin, and typically I like a light to medium coverage foundation with more of a skin-like finish and something that's going to be a little bit more hydrating. But with that being said, two of my favorite foundations in my collection are full coverage and mattifying, so you never know what you're going to fall in love with. I absolutely love foundations, especially when it comes to luxury makeup, so I couldn't help myself and I decided to pick it up and try it out and see if it's going to be any good. But before we get into the application and the wear test, let's go over all the specifics of this foundation, how much it is, the shade range, and all of that jazz. Alright, y'all, so this is what our beautiful foundation looks like. It does retail for approximately $60. I've seen a couple of different price points depending on where you pick it up, but generally it hangs around the $60 price point. It does come in 40 different shades, and I have to admit, I was really impressed by the shade range. It goes really deep, it has some beautiful undertones to it, and that's not something you typically see with luxury makeup, although I will say they are getting better about it. Now, according to Dolce & Gabbana, the Everlast foundation has been crafted with a life-proof formula that offers a full coverage, flawless finish with 24-hour long wear and no transfer. Designed with a skin-loving touch, it provides a blurring and smoothing effect with all-day shine control that ensures complexion. In 40 inclusive shades, it caters to everyone and every skin with easy-to-navigate options for the ultimate everlasting confidence. The Everlast foundation comes in a beautiful glass bottle with a gold cap sealed by the iconic Dolce & Gabbana Sacred Heart. Now, like I said, this is going to be full coverage, it's going to be mattifying, it's going to have 24-hour long wear, all-day shine control, waterproof, it has skin-loving ingredients in it, which we will get into in just a minute, and it's also supposed to be a little bit more on the hydrating side, so we'll see how it works on my skin in particular. Another thing that I want to note is this does have an SPF 20 in it, and that's something that can be very finicky with my skin. Sometimes it agrees with it, sometimes it doesn't. Generally, I can get away with wearing a foundation that has SPF in it for about 2 days in a row, and then I need to switch to something else, and then I can go back to it. But I do have a couple of ingredient callouts that I want to give to y'all real quick. So the first one is going to be Italian prickly pear. This is known to enhance the appearance of skin firmness. It also has Cilician avocado to support deep hydration, and Italian pomegranate to help shield the skin barrier from environmental aggressors. That is a lot of information. That is a lot of claims for this tiny little bottle right here, but I'm excited to try it out and see how it's going to wear. Alright, y'all, so I went ahead and zoomed y'all in so you could get a better view of the application and what it's going to look like as it sits on my skin. Now, I do not have a primer on right now. They did come out with a new primer when they released this foundation, but it's a mattifying primer, and I don't typically like to wear a mattifying primer with a mattifying foundation. If I'm going to wear a mattifying primer, it's usually more in the summer when it gets really hot outside, and generally under a more hydrating foundation. So I may pick that up later on down the road. Let me know if y'all want to see a wear test with that one, how it's going to perform and things like that, because I'm more than happy to do so. But I will have it linked down below in the description box along with this foundation and everything else that I use in today's video. But let's go ahead and start the application. So I picked up the shade 2C Light. So that is going to be light with a cool undertone. So perfect shade match for my skin in particular. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on the back of my hand first, and then I'm going to pick it up from there with a brush, and we're going to apply this to the skin. Now, whenever I first swatched this on the back of my hand, this does not have a fragrance to it, which is very rare when it comes to a luxury foundation. But this does look a little bit light, but I'm thinking it's actually going to be a perfect shade match for me, and it absolutely is, surprisingly enough. Sometimes I feel like I'm a little lighter than what I think I actually am, and then sometimes I feel like I'm a little darker than what I actually am, but this is going on really nicely. It is very thick, and I think if you want to kind of thin this out a little bit, you could probably apply it with a damp sponge, and it might give a little bit of like a sheerness to the coverage, but this is definitely going to be a full coverage foundation. It doesn't feel heavy, it doesn't feel super thick on my skin, but I can definitely see that it's giving a mattifying finish to my skin. But I'm just going to go ahead and stipple this on the one half of my skin, and then we'll do a side-by-side comparison before I finish applying it all over. Alright, so this is what the complexion is looking like with the foundation applied to just one half of my face. Now keep in mind, I am not wearing a primer. I want to see how this foundation is going to wear on its own, and then I'll continue to test it out down the road with other primers and things like that, powder and all that jazz. But for now, this is what we're looking like. It is definitely a full coverage foundation, but it looks very skin-like. It looks very natural on my skin. It doesn't look heavy, cakey. It's not sinking into any lines. It's not accentuating texture or grabbing any dry spots, and a little bit goes a long way. It is very comfortable to apply, and I think it has a beautiful finish to it. But I'm going to go ahead and apply it to the other half of my face, and I'm going to do that with a damp sponge because I want to see if it kind of shears out the coverage or how the finish is going to work with a damp sponge. So I'm just going to put a little bit on here. Like I said, a little bit goes a long way, so this is about half a pump, and I'm just going to start bouncing this into the skin. Now sometimes a full coverage foundation can absolutely be sheared out if you apply it with a damp sponge, because it's going to soak up excess product and you have that little bit of moisture to it to help kind of thin out the formula, but sometimes that doesn't always happen. But this is going on really nice as well. It's definitely giving a little less coverage compared to over here. It's still on the full side, but it's more of a light full coverage, if that makes sense. But I do think as far as application goes, I'm liking the side of my face that I applied with the brush first. I feel like it's more even, it's a little bit more flawless, and I'm not having as hard of a time kind of sinking it in around my nose and certain spots like that. But either way you prefer will probably work best. Alright, so this is what the complexion is looking like now that I have the foundation on my entire face, and you can tell that the side that I applied with the beauty sponge definitely has a little bit more of that redness peeking through. You can see my little kind of sunspot right there. It still looks beautiful, it still looks flawless, it's just not quite as full coverage as the side that I applied with a brush. But I'm going to go ahead and finish up my makeup with my concealer and bronzer, blush and highlighter and all of that. I'm not going to do powder and setting spray because I really want to see how this foundation is going to wear on its own before I get into those helping products. But I am going to go in with my Westman Atelier concealer. I'm just going to put a little bit under my eyes, and then I'll go in with everything else. Now this concealer I have really gotten a good test drive out of over the past week and a half, and this is a beautiful concealer. If you have dry under eyes and fine lines, you would really like this one. It's not too thin in consistency, it's nice and hydrating, it's self-setting, so it doesn't sink into your fine lines. It's going to crease if you have that little crease under your eyes. That's just inevitable. There's not anything in the world that is going to hold up to that, but there's a difference between settling in and then really creasing. So this doesn't do that for me. It looks absolutely flawless. It lasts all day and it stays nice and hydrating as well. Alright, to finish off the rest of my complexion, I'm going to go in with the Auric Face Palette. I have the shade Daybreak, and this is another one that I have gotten a ton of use out of as of late, and this is a beautiful palette. I have really been enjoying this. I've gotten so much use out of it. It is very blendable. It just melts into the skin. It works well over powder products as well, and I've really been enjoying this. It's been a go-to for me, especially on those days where I was getting up at the crack of dawn and I really just wanted a quick, easy look. I love that the bronzer in here is very buildable. It's not too orange. It's like that perfect kind of mid-ground where it's not too cool toned, but it's not too warm leaning either. You could absolutely do more of a contour with this. You can do bronzing with it. You can use it on your eyes as well. There was a day that I kind of used this in the crease of my eyes just a little bit and popped a little bit of the highlighter on top, and it gave a beautiful, effortless, flawless eye look as well. Alright, so I'm just going in with the blush from this palette as well. I'm keeping it a little bit on the lighter side. I'm not going too heavy-handed because I really want to focus on the foundation, but I need to add a little bit of color back to my complexion because I'm looking a little pale and a little ghostly, but I've really been enjoying this palette. Like I said, it's just very user-friendly. You can build it up, you can sheer it out. It doesn't disturb my makeup underneath, and it just lasts all day. It's not sticky, it dries down really nicely, and it just adds this beautiful glow to the skin. Alright, last I'm going to add just a little bit of the highlighter right here. I'm not going to go in with this balm product over here because it can be a little bit sticky. It does dry down for the most part, but I'm not really focusing on this palette like I said. I just want to add a little bit of color back to my skin. Alright, so this is what the complexion is looking like. I did throw on a little bit of brow gel and a lip balm to kind of complete this look. I am going to be filming an eye look later on today for another video that y'all will see somewhere down the road. I'm trying to kind of double up and get as much work as I possibly can, but I am going to go ahead and go throughout my day. I have a lot of work to do around the house, as you can probably imagine. So I'm going to try and do a check-in about at the 6-hour mark, but I will come back at the end of the day, show y'all what the complexion is looking like, and give y'all my first initial impression thoughts. Alright y'all, it is the end of the day. I'm exhausted. I've had this full face of makeup on for a little over 11 hours at this point, and when I tell you I really put this foundation to the test today, I kid you not. We have been going non-stop all day long. We were getting Christmas decorations out of the attic. I repainted the bathroom. I know that sounds super random, but when I got called into court, I was sort of in the middle of a little bathroom upgrade, so I finally got to finish that, but I've been hot, I've been sweaty, I've been wiping my face and doing all the things, and I was so impressed when I looked in the mirror and my makeup was still intact. It hadn't melted all over my face, it didn't break apart, it wasn't coming apart, it hasn't settled into anything, clung to any spots. It looks beautiful. Now, I can't really speak for the eyes because I feel like those did kind of fall apart as I was starting to sweat, but that's eye makeup, that's not what we're talking about today. But I think this wore absolutely beautifully. I think it looks even more beautiful now than it did when I first put it on, and I think that's because I had that little bit of sweat kind of mix into it and give me more of a natural finish to the skin. I know that sounds disgusting, but I'm kind of thinking it as the same way if you have oily skin and those natural oils kind of peek through and mix with the foundation, and it gives you just that really pretty glow. So for me personally, I think this foundation is really going to benefit from a more hydrating primer or maybe even a glowy mix-in to put in there and just give it a little bit more of a glow to the skin. But I think it held up beautifully. I think it looks stunning on the face, and I was really impressed that even though it is a full coverage mattifying foundation, it felt very lightweight and breathable. It looked very natural on my skin. It never looked heavy, cakey, or drying or anything like that, and I cannot wait to pair this with a primer, powder, and setting spray and really put the longevity of this one to the test. I think Dolce & Gabbana did a fantastic job with this formulation. I think it looks beautiful on the skin. I love that it's fragrance free. I'm not too keen on the fact that it does have an SPF in it, but I'll get over it. I have other foundations that I can kind of cycle in and out as I wear this one, but I think it's a beautiful foundation. First impression, I absolutely love it. But that is going to complete this video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. I want to know if you picked this one up, if you plan on picking it up, what kind of formulation of a foundation you prefer. I want to know it all. Let's have that conversation, light up that comment section, and as usual, I want to thank you all so much for watching my video and spending your time with me. It truly does mean so much to me. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future posts here on my channel. I do post quite a few videos every single week, and I wouldn't want you to miss one. But until my next video, have a good one. Bye.